Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Joe. So there's a show, season two of a show that just came out recently that a lot of people are very split about. Some people either really love it, some people either really hate it. And I personally, I'm on the side that actually really loves the show, but the show is none other than Beef. So Beef had a second season after the very, very successful first season, which starred Ali Wong, Stephen Yeun, David Cho, Young Mazino, and numerous other famous actors and actresses that were incredible in the first season. A lot of people really loved Beef in the first one because it was very original. It felt very modern. It took a very different take on the drama, and it has that like kind of A24 weirdness to it, where it's like it's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So when I found out that season two was coming around, I was very excited. However, I was very shocked to see that this mostly Asian cast was now getting replaced with mostly white people. So that's what I thought. Obviously, when I first saw from the trailers, but man, was I wrong. I was very, very wrong from what I went into this show with. I had very high hopes, and but also at the same time some lower expectations, because the chemistry that like Ali Wong and and Stephen Yeun had in the first season was truly, truly remarkable, where it made me think, like, how are they gonna top this? And I did see some kind of clips of like the director talking about how it's a different take. It's very different, where it's like it's not about the beef between like just a single person. It's a beef between a couple and a couple. So this season, it's very different in setting as well. It takes place in a country club, and you follow Oscar Isaac's character with his character Josh, with Josh's wife Lindsay, who was played by Carey Mulligan, and those are the main. There are two sets of protagonists over there on one side, and then the other side we got Charles Melton, who plays Austin, and then Kaylee Spaney, who plays Ashley Miller, and that's another set of a couple that we have on the other side. And it really plays a lot about social class. That's definitely like the biggest theme of this season. There was definitely that sort of theme in the first season, but it feels like in this second season it plays on that a lot more. It's definitely a much bigger focus than it is a big word, a big phrase or big idea that a lot of the characters talk about is just capitalism, and how it boils down to just capitalism at the end of the day, and you're just trying to see these sets of people trying to all survive, and also basically see this beef where it's now no longer between one person to another person. It's a couple and another couple, and all within the first episode. You see Oscar Isaac's character with Carey Mulligan. You think they're this perfect couple. They run this country club. They look super rich and all this kind of stuff. And then within the first 20-30 minutes, you find out that they hate each other. They want to get divorced, and all these crazy things. And a couple of unfortunate events lead to one thing to another, where Ashley, who's played by Kaylee Spaney, and Austin are catch them in the middle of a fight, and now the ball goes rolling, where it really captures that sort of aspect from the first season of Beef, where it's just one unfortunate event after another, and then after another, and then after another. So that is definitely something I really enjoyed from this second season. It felt very in the way where in the first season, I'm gonna try my best to talk about the non-spoiler stuff in the first half of this, and then the spoiler heavier stuff in the second half of this. But in the beginning half, like I said, I really, really loved the characters. I think it was way more character focused And the reason I say that is because you're now you're rarely seeing each of these characters on their own. You're seeing them as a couple, so you're seeing them as a pair. So they're not just one. They're one entity. So naturally, with there being another person, you're constantly talking to that other person. But talking to another person in general unlocks more dialogue, more backstory, and all these kind of things that these characters say from one another. Where a lot of that we weren't able to see from season one until it was like altercations between Danny's character, Steven Yeun's character, and Amy, Ali Wong's character. And those were really those moments where it was they had a lot more moments where they were just on their own, and you kind of just see them going through life, and you see how they are trying to do their best to go through life and do everything that they can. And so now to kind of go in depth to more of the spoiler heavy side of things, now that I kind of got that synopsis out of the way, I really loved the characters and all the other couples. I know there's Song Kang-ho, who was another couple along with Yoon Yo-jung. I think hopefully I pronounced her name right. That is also like an elderly couple, because I know the director says that we follow 3 different couples, but that's a whole nother thing that I will try to focus on a little bit later. But my ultimate consensus is that I loved this season more than the first season. I was, definitely scrolling through social media and seeing people talk about it, and I don't think I feel like I see a lot more people that hate it than love it. But like I said, it seems like it's either you really love this or you really hated it, because I think a lot of people really hated it because they compared it a lot to the first season of Beef, where the first season of Beef was just so original. It was really like there was nothing really else like it, and it was really hard to beat. It's really hard to beat a show like that. But I think because of it being so character focused, and the characters and their chemistry with one another, it really pushes the story a lot better. I'm gonna talk a little bit of the characters and kind of what they symbolize. So this will, like I said, be more of the spoiler heavy stuff. But so I really enjoyed seeing Josh's character and Austin's character the most. Lindsay was a very complex character as well. Ashley was good, but very frustrating at times, because personally for me, Ashley and Austin are very relatable, I feel like, with how they operate, because they are the Gen Z couple. They're not too far from my age and from what the show is. And I see a lot of aspects of there were certain dialogues of their confusion with the world, them thinking that they know everything, but they really don't. Really related to me, really resonated with me, and it felt really real. Josh and Lindsay's romantic dynamic was very interesting as well, because their dynamic is more so realistic. They're at a point where they've got their grounds, they've kind of settled down. But their only real main gripes are with each other, of trying to really push their relationship, trying to hopefully fix whatever's left over. And Song Kang-ho, who plays Dr. Kim, and then there's also Chairwoman Park, played by Yoon Yo-jung. They're also incredible characters, but they are not seen as much. Well, Dr. Kim is definitely not seen as much, but Chairwoman Park is seen a lot. And basically she's more of seen as like this final boss. With Josh's character, it was very interesting because him being the boss of the country club is someone that is he's very troubled. You can see that, like, through dialogue that he has with other people, and then about his Josh's dialogue with like Lindsay. His mother passed away, and that's really weighing on him because from the context of the story that we got is that through work, because he was working, he was too focused on work that he had lost his mother, and whenever he works, it's an escape method for him, where he runs away from everything, and he's kind of flooded with all these compliments. He's like doing acts of service, and he feels like these people care about him because he cares for them. However, it's eventually down the story when Josh has that whole like Bufo scene where he gets like super high, and he realizes and he comes in terms with what he is as a person, that he understands that this is all really fake at the end of the day because this is my job. So they don't see me as someone that's a friend, and he knows, and he's very self-aware about the fact of that if God forbid Josh being like, oh, I need help from one of these guys like Troy, they'll got my back, but he knows that it's not like that. It's more of that he sees himself, and he's aware of the fact that he's just someone that has to do his job and act like someone that really cares, which for Josh's character, he probably does really care. He actually does probably really care about what the characters or what the other people in the country club want, but he takes that to heart, which carries over to Lindsay's character, who Lindsay is a very complex character who is fighting with the fact of her wanting to be young again, her battling with that idea of or being self-conscious about the fact of her being good enough, her being, and you see a lot of her insecurities, which kind of allow us as the viewer to understand why she goes to certain extremes, why she's like talking to other men. It makes it a little bit more understandable. Doesn't make it never lets you feel like, oh, we should forgive this person. It's more just like, this is why, and these are why these things led to these things. And whenever Josh and Lindsay go at it, there are certain moments when you would hear the dialogue of what Josh is going through, and you'd think, oh, well, I mean, Josh is in the right for this. But then you also think from Lindsay's perspective as well. Lindsay is also someone that brings up all these, past arguments and stuff that happened between these characters that are all blowing up at this moment. And it blows up in this moment where you can see that she was holding on to a lot of these grudges that happen to blow up now. And for her, it's a matter of, oh, I've been going through this for so long, so I need to let this out. While for maybe from our outsider's perspective, it might just seem like at the moment like, oh, like, why are you attacking Josh? But from Lindsay's case, it's like there was so much stuff that led to this moment as to why we are arguing right now. To go over to Ashley and Austin's characters, their characters are very interesting. They're both really loving and caring, but almost to the point where it's very, very toxic, where they're always stepping over glass, or trying not to step on glass when they're talking to each other. Austin, especially Ashley, because we find out later in the story the reason why Ashley is like this is because her parents being divorced, they left her as a child, and that being the case is why she's at where she is right now, where she's so stuck onto the idea of Austin, and she just doesn't want to be left alone again where her parents are just not there for her. Austin is someone who is a very, to put it into simple terms, I feel like a very golden retriever kind of guy in the beginning of the story. He feels very someone that's like, he just wants to help. He's just a really loving dude. He's always happy. And, he's really selfless. But we see him become a bit more selfish. Not in a bad way, but in some bad ways and some good ways. But towards the end of the story, Austin's character was really interesting because he's a Korean American, but he's half Korean, half white, I believe, from the show. Um, Austin is someone that never got to discover his Korean side of his culture, his Korean ethnicity, and his background. And I thought that was really interesting from also me being Korean American as well, where be- living in America, it's very hard to learn about your culture besides just reading up on it, or unless you had like obviously relatives or relatives that are very close to you that tells you a lot of these things, and it's hard to learn the culture without just going there yourself. Austin is, for the first time in his life, is surrounded by so many Korean people with Dr. Kim, Jong Park, Eunice's character, who I have so many things that I'll just say in a bit about Eunice's character, which is very interesting. But seeing for once someone that's Korean that isn't his mom is like a moment of like starstruck for him, of like, whoa, this is crazy. And not only is it just not only is it just any Korean person, it's someone like Chaewon Park, who I believe somewhere in the show that it said like she had like 2% of the Korea's like GDP. She makes like 2% of Korea's GDP or something, which is incredible. Then with someone like a woman like Eunice, where he gets close to this other Korean woman, who is like a possible love interest for him. And you see Austin like falling for Eunice more and more and more, until at a certain point he does confess his feelings, saying that he loves Eunice. Now, the thought that I found very interesting for Austin and Eunice is that Austin doesn't like Eunice for who she is as a person. It's more so he likes the idea of Eunice, her being Korean. I find that Eunice is a representation of just the Korean culture as a whole. He's learning more about this culture, and he's getting obsessed, and he's finds it so interesting, and he wants to learn more and more, and he really loves it. But then when Eunice responds back to Austin, whenever he says, Austin being like, oh, I love you, Eunice is like, you don't know anything about me. And it's so completely true. And you see Austin kind of having that golden retriever moment again, where he's like, oh, like I really, like say it back, I love you, so say it back. But then when the moment finally comes where he does have hear that, it isn't what he expects. He got to hear it, and it's not what he expects, and it's not really what he wants. Austin was definitely my most. I can't say it was my most favorite. I definitely I feel like Josh is probably my favorite character in the show, mainly because it's just like they're all so complex. You can't really feel like you 100% like them, mainly in the fact that they're just so complex. They're not good, they're not bad people as well. It gave me a lot of vibes of kind of Bong Joon-ho's Parasite, where he talks about all these characters not being good or bad people. They're very kind of like a middle ground. You will see good aspects of them, bad aspects of them. But I definitely feel like if you are looking for a show, something that can definitely get you thinking, and definitely want you to be a bit more, kind of get in touch. I can't say this is a show that will make you feel very in touch with your Korean culture, but it is something interesting to see how other people that are Korean Americans would be kind of lost in their own culture, even though they are considered Korean as well. Whether it's half, whether it's full, whether it's like a quarter, it's still a part of them, and that's a huge part where they don't know much about it. I could honestly go on and on about this show, and the video is already going really long, but if I might consider honestly just doing like a whole like analysis on this show, because there's a lot that I really love about this, and I hope a lot of you guys give it a shot. It's a great show. It's a great season. First season and second season are both incredibly great. And yeah, besides that, have a great rest of your guys' day/night, and please check out Beef. This is also obviously like unsponsored. I just did it out of my own free will. So, all right, peace.